And then another problem that we face introducing in Sanskrit, and this is a general thing, that many parents are not willing to take Sanskrit. They object if the school management is ready, but the parents are not ready. They say that why? What is there in Sanskrit that my child should choose? So what we do? So the management asks, like, what is the way out that you have to convince the parents? So we do the parents orientation program, and we have certain things which we discuss with the parents, that after the orientation program, out of 100, 85 parents, they agree that yes, our children should have Sanskrit. Now Sanskrit is not introduced just as a language, like we learn the other languages. Now how it helps in the inner growth of the child is the most important thing, which doesn't happen through other languages. The first important feature of this language is that it is a highly structured, scientific and systematic language compared to other languages. There are many aspects from the phonetics point of view, from the semantic point of view, from the syntax point of view. So you can take all aspects of languages and then evaluate the Sanskrit, the deep structure of Sanskrit, the way it functions, and especially the semantics, how the sound and sense, they are related. So it is definitely, it has a lot of things to offer compared to other languages. So some of the features which I will discuss to give you an idea, like why we need Sanskrit. One important thing is that when we look at the whole cultural history of India, the spiritual history of India, the whole cultural heritage of India, so Sanskrit always had an important role to play in expressing the inner soul of this country. Choose any field of knowledge, science, technology, secular, non-secular, dharmic, even sometimes you can go for adharmic topics, what is usually considered as Sanskrit has a contribution in almost every branch of knowledge. And original thoughts, insightful thoughts. And what was important there was the intuitive knowledge that the ancient seers and sages possessed. We had a discussion amongst core group that this intuitive aspect which is missing in the present education system. So sometimes when we look at history, or much discussion happens about the history of language, about the history of many things, the historicity actually creates much damage, much problem. History has its own importance, but the way history is presented to us, we don't enter into that, but connecting it with the whole cultural history of India, like what role Sanskrit had played and can play in bringing a change in the education system. So this intuitive knowledge which was possessed by the ancient seers and sages, and the example of that, the instances of that we find in the various scriptures which are available to us in Sanskrit. We take inspiration from that. One bright example is Ayurveda. So many centuries before, when we had no facilities, no lab facilities to test, to verify, to examine, there must have been some kind of, facilities, we don't know yet. But the ancient Vaidyas could give us the exact properties of hundreds of plants not one, but many properties. Each plant having 10, 15, 20 properties. And those properties even work today, after so many years. Even though many Ayurveda acharyas have said, like, whatever we are describing, we don't know after 100 years whether it will work or not, depending upon the climate change and things. But it still works. How did they arrive at that? In bringing out or in discovering the exact properties of the hundreds of the plants without any lab facility. And today, you take up like discovering the properties of one plant and create a project about it. Then make an application proposal to the Ministry of Science and Technology or Ayush Ministry. So it will be a huge project. So many people will be engaged for that. We don't know. We're not sure whether we will arrive at the right, discovering the right properties or not. But this was done so many centuries before. And how did they arrive at it? This is a question which we find most of the times that it was by intuitively. So things were discovered intuitively and developed logically and systematically. It is not that logic analysis system was not that. That was also an integral part of the education. So discovering intuitively and developing it, giving it a shape, following the logical analysis. So that intuitive thought is missing, which this language makes us aware of the language. I'm not saying that the content of the language, this very language itself has the power to create that faculty or enhance that faculty. How? Using this language. So the use of this language in our day-to-day life. So someone can ask this question, all those people who speak Sanskrit in their day-to-day life, are they transformed people? If this language has so much of power, you say, it has the power to transform. Are they transformed people? There are many people who know the Shastras. Are they transformed people? Because they have the Shastra in their hand. They have been using this language for a long time, perfectly. The whole purpose lies not just using the language or speaking the language, so speaking ordinarily and then speaking with awareness. It makes a big difference. When a conscious use of this language happens, right from the childhood, it has a lot of transformative element in it. It helps in the inner growth of the child. Where is the proof? I'll share with you what experiment I did with many children and how Sanskrit helps. I give you the example of my own daughter. When she was in class 1, 2 and 3, these 3 years. Now in the ashram school, we have the KG, KG1, KG2, KG3, not 2 years, but KG3. So where the children just play, enjoy. Then that was the impression in her that education means all play, enjoyment. And when she came to the class 1 and then saw that, like teachers are asking them to write, the writing board is used, many props are used to teach them. So she was a little confused. She was not interested in learning. So if the teacher says sit and listen, so she would say like, why should I sit and listen? I'll go and then collect some leaves or play with some insects. She's more fond of insects and animals and then plants. So she would not concentrate in the classroom. Now the teachers complained that what is happening, there is something wrong with your child. So we did some counseling, then I tried to find out where lies the problem. So she is not interested. That has gone so deep into her that she doesn't want to learn. Then we somehow counseled. Then I thought that I am using this mantra yoga for so many other things. So why don't I experiment it with my own child? So 20 random verses collected from, compiled and selected from Vedas, Upanishads and this text and that text. So I started teaching her. I chanted, and then after that she chanted with me, sitting with me. And believe me, in 3 months' time, her focus level was much enhanced. Her memory, the way she was behaving, she started attending the classes properly. And now also, like, you ask her, whenever she is too much excited about anything, or she loses the focus, or unable to handle things, so she sits and then chants these mantras. She says that, okay, these mantras, chanting helps me. How does the chanting help? How does this language help? Sanskrit is 99% is poetry, melodious. Why 99? I would say 100%. It is such a melodious language where rhythm is much important. To the extent that 99% literature in Sanskrit is in poetry. Mathematics is written in poetry. Dictionaries are written in poetry. Physics, chemistry, metallurgy, go to any subject, Ayurveda, all poetry. Even there was a time when it was said that if someone was capable of writing in prose, he was considered to be the greatest among all the poets, all the learned people. Gadyam kavinam nikasham vadanti. If someone could write in prose, he excels. Writing in prose was difficult because poetry is so natural to this language, where rhythm is important. And this rhythm, now there is much research in the neuroscience field, like how rhythm, how music helps in the development of the brain. And when we are using a language which is very rhythmic, the chandas element is so prominent in this language that to this level it is prominent that this language itself was called chandas. When you go to Panini, for the conversational local language, he uses the word bhasha. For the Vedic language, he uses the word chandas. So chandas is the very name of this language, that so much of rhythm. And this rhythm, this chandas, is a very prominent element in this language, which helps when it is consciously used, this language. So it helps immensely in the inner development of the child. Now this chandas, when we say the birth, growth and development of the language, when we look at the principles, the laws operative in the cosmos, in the universe, so the same universal laws which help a tree growing organically, the same laws one finds in the birth, growth and development of Sanskrit. It is an organically grown language, and I can give you hundreds of examples from the scripture, from the language itself, where the sound sense relationship, how from a single root sound so many meanings one root sound has, and then how it is connected with our own experiences. So these are many important aspects of the language, that the very language itself helps us in our inner growth.